Hey everybody, this is Lorelia doing a video on the topic of it's selfish to have bad credit. Now, I want to give you a background on what motivated me to do this video. I was recently watching a video here on YouTube by a gentleman named Grant Cardone, wealthy individual, 7 or 8 figure, income earner, what have you. And he talked about the topic of why, if you are financially struggling, poor, whatever the word you want to use, economically shackled, basically you don't have any ends to meet. It is very selfish. And the reason why he said it's very selfish is because the person who doesn't decide to get help, because once again, we can't avoid the circumstances we're born into. Meaning that if we were born in a situation where there was lack, where there was financial lack, economic lack of resources, but then when we get older and we realize that if we only invest in ourselves and get access to information, that really our circumstances will change, then it's literally our fault. Because when you decide, and just stay with me for a second, what he talked about was that a person who is financially in lack is only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about how it will affect their family. They're not thinking about how it will affect their children. They're not even thinking about the next generation that will come after them. They're only thinking in the current moment. And now, how does this relate to your credit? I recently, about a few weeks ago, sent a email to my communication list, letting individuals know that I was doing a free 15-minute consultation. And I had some people to take action. And I was only taking a very few group of people. I was only taking 8, got way over 8 people. And there were some people who literally, I'm not going to give gender or anything because I'm not going to expose anyone. There were individuals who reached out to me who admitted they know that they need to improve their credit. They've tried to improve their credit. And for over a year, they have not got no closer than where they previously was at a year ago. But, and I say but, when I provided help in terms of them making an investment, there were some people who did not take action. And let me just say this for anybody who's watching, because what I've noticed is that a lot of people feel like that, yeah, you know what, that, she gives great information, great content, this, that, and the other. When it comes to making the investment in themselves, they make it seem like they're hurting my feelings with not making that investment. And this is my response. Whether you decide to pay me, you're going to pay someone, something. At the end of the day, you will pay. And it goes back to what I said in terms of an individual being selfish. If you know you've had bad credit for a whole year, try to do it on your own and keep hitting a brick wall and to still decide that you don't want to do nothing different, you are being selfish. Because at the end of the day, whether you want to believe this or not, credit affects everything. It affects where you work. It affects where you live. It affects you having access to proper banking. It affects all areas of our life. So at the end of the day, if you don't pay me, you're going to pay someone. Because see, what a lot of people do not understand is that I do these videos, and I've been on YouTube doing videos since 2010. 2010. If you go to the history of my channel, I haven't started making, I shouldn't say making, but requesting that individuals invest in themselves until about 3 years ago. And the reason why, I'm going to explain the reason why, because some people will say, well, why was you weren't doing it in 2010 and you're doing it now? Because I am able to reach many people when I decide to do something with no monetary attachment. Because I do believe that the content that I put out does help people. And I have no problem with that. I understand that. I understand that there are some information that I put out there that some people will never need my help personally. And this is not to knock those who do decide to make the investment. But understand that the people who do make the investment, they understand that they need a little more. They need a little more. They need a little more hand holding. They need a little more hi. Y'all just coming through? They know they need just a little more. Back to what I was saying, I apologize. And so, and they want to speed up the process. But I think many individuals feel like that it hurts my feelings if they decide to not make the investment. Because see, at the end of the day, I've said this in many videos, I can ruin my credit tomorrow, and within 6 months, I'll have good credit. Because see, I know the rules and the laws. And let me just say this. The cheese has moved. The economy is changing. The laws of credit are changing. And so, if you were unable to financially prosper 4 years ago under another president, under another administration, if you wasn't able to prosper then, you definitely not going to prosper now. And the reason why I say that, and I don't say this to talk in a place of I have some insider information. It's just that I am reading information that many people aren't reading. They don't know the cheese has moved. The students that I have, I am now telling them, and this I'll just share freely, but most people won't understand it. The laws in terms of debt buyers, which at one time were grouped in with debt collectors. The rules are changing. The rules have changed with how a consumer can now dispute in regards to a debt buyer. I'm not going to go through the particulars because that's where the investment has to be made at. But the rules are changing. And this is what I know is certain. Once again, just reading. These student loans. Like I said, if you didn't prosper 4 years ago or 8 years ago under the old administration, you're not going to prosper now because the rules of student loans are changing. I'm going to do a whole separate video on private student loans and why they're the devil. But I say all that to say you are being selfish. It is sad that a person will know they have bad credit and will not get help and not without knowing. And what they don't know is it affects. And that's why I said I can see when Grant Cardone said it is selfish. It don't just affect you, the person with bad credit. It don't just affect you. It affects everyone who has access to you. It affects your kids. It affects your grandkids. It affects your significant other. It affects your husband, your wife, whatever relation you have. Because if you have bad credit and you do not know how to improve your credit, What are you going to pass down to your children? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the days are gone. The days are gone. Whereas people will sit around and say, I know my credit bad. Oh, well, them days are over. Them days are over. Because if you still stay in that situation, like I said, you are economically shackled, because everything in your life, you can literally lose your job. There was one individual that I talked about, like I said, not going to say if it's a female or a male, but the person is in the financial services industry. Financial services, insurance, all those highly banking, all those highly regulated areas. You got bad credit and they decide to do a random credit check. Because what people don't understand is that when you get a job, you usually get a packet about this thick. See, what a lot of people don't know is that in that paperwork, there is a clause that says that they can do random credit checks on you. And when they do that, that keeps them abreast on how are you fiscally handling your personal matters. Because like I said, people know your financial habits better than you know your own. Because a person who is in financial straits and they are in an industry where they have access to financial records, money, or what have you, when the rubber meets the road and they are strapped for cash, they will do by all means necessary to put food on their table. So like I said, it's not a game. It's not a game. Like I said, individuals are being selfish. Because like I said, whether you pay me, you're going to pay somebody else. But at the end of the day, you will pay. You will pay. So I say all this to say, like I say, it's just sad. It's sad the amount of videos, not videos, the emails that I get where people know they're hurting and won't do nothing different. And like I said, for those who do want to do it the free route, the process is going to take longer. It's going to take longer. So don't expect fast results. See, people want fast results, but not realizing that they made no investment to speed it up. So that's my message for you today. But for people who do want to take action, because I've had some people who taken action. They've invested in themselves. You can go to www.thediycredithub.com. I've had a few people who signed up at the premier level. I won't even say how much that is. The premier level. Because see, the thing is that once I up the ante, there's a certain level of people that when they make that investment into the premier level, there's a certain seriousness that a person has. It's a certain seriousness, And I've said that. I said that early in this year that things were going to be changing. So that's my message. I know it's long, about 13 minutes, and I know for some that people may be thinking I'm rambling, but like I said, I see this every day. Emails, messages, and I will leave it like this. I have put too much content out there, and so I am unapologetic with telling people that they need to invest themselves. Because like I said, whether you pay me, you will pay somebody, but at the end of the day, you will pay. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. This is Lorelia. Talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.